Hello everyone, Ceri the Crafter here, that's C-E-R-I the Crafter, and today we're dealing with all of those spare book pages. So, I have lots of uses for spare book pages. Sometimes I'll even mash them up and make them into paper mache with glue, because I do things like fairy houses and construction stuff. So, and as all of us, we always have spare book pages. So I'm going to do a couple of little things first to show you what I'm going to do. Which is obvious. Guess I lost the plot on that one. But anyway, we're just going to deal with this because it's one of those things I had promised you I would show you how I utilize book pages, and this is what I do. So I'm now going to bring in my glue book because I tend to not use paint palettes very often. I use my glue book as a paint palette unless I'm mixing specific colours, and then I'm going to get a baby wipe. Now what I want to do here is work on one page at a time. Please excuse my messy mat. I'm beginning to love my messy mat more than some of the backgrounds I've created. If this keeps developing, it may become a background in the future. So I use acrylic paints. Hopefully I'm not shaking the camera too much. Now this is just white acrylic paint. Now when I'm doing my other projects, I always have little bits of paint left over on my palette or on my book, and this is when I usually reach for a wet wipe, and I'll take this and I tend to just wipe it, the excess, over a page, and then I'll stick the page to one side just to dry, because I'll do the process for what I'm about to what I'm about to show you in the future. So as you can see, all I've done with that is I'm just trying to knock the text a little bit into the background. So let's choose another one. Let's see, and you can use any colour you want for this. I mean, it depends on what project you're working on. There you go. So I'm using pink, not my favourite colour, but I'm trying to embrace the pink. I don't want to put so much paint on this that I can't see the text, but I would rather not see all of the text. So as you can see, not being careful, do it quite quickly, because if you keep rubbing, you will start taking the surface off the page. So let's just do one more, because I'm using this, what's this? Stein Reevely. This is vanilla custard. It's a colour that I quite like because it looks quite good. It looks almost like an old book page anyway. So just go on here. Her paints are a little more liquid, so they're a little more transparent. So there you go. And I've probably got enough on there. I could do another one, excuse me, because I'm not about to waste paint. And actually that brings in a good point. I can actually bring in the pink and do a blend of it if I want to. I mean, at the end of the day, whatever your art is, you're the artist. You do what you wish. So there you go. So then all I've wasted is this. I know you can utilise wet wipes after drying them out, and then I've got this piece. I think I can lose one piece of paper. Okay, let's move that all out of harm's way. Let's put it up there, because knowing me, I'm going to knock stuff. Put the paints back on the shelf, because I am not going to spill it on my carpet. So I would obviously let these fully dry. Okay, now whether you leave the sides on to start with or not, it doesn't matter. I've got some here that I have actually already dried, and all I've done is I just used my tear ruler to date the sides down a bit. So we're going to put those to one side because we're going to be using them in a second. Now the next thing you need to do is go through your stamp collection. Now we all have stamps that are actually frames. Please don't ask me where these come from, because I don't actually know, because I sort of cannibalise my stamps. I keep what I like, I get rid of what I don't like to a charity shop or something, or a thrift store. I only keep stamps I really, really use, or else I'd have far too many stamps. And then I'll group them. So if I've got, actually there's a good example. So that's probably 2 or 3 different companies in the one envelope, but if I'm looking for frames, I'm not necessarily looking for the company, I'm looking for the frame. So you can use what you normally use, or I like doing this process for the more ornate frames, because it means I'm not going to fussy cut them anyway. Don't look past things like this. Yes, those are coffee rings, but to be honest, that's actually a little frame. That can be utilised as a frame. So look at stuff like that, because it doesn't always necessarily have to be a frame that you use for a frame. So let's pop that one back over there and decide what I'm going to do. Actually, I need some more of these anyway, so I think I'm going to pull this one out, or I would if my hand could get hold of it. There you go. So Visible Image is actually a company that's only about half an hour's drive away from my house. They're a Welsh company, and I do like their products. Actually, let's not do that one. Let's do one of the more ornate ones as well. And I really like their products, so look them up. Have a look for Visible Image, guys. So let's use, pull off the right paper, use that one, and I use that one quite often. So we'll just do 3. Maybe I'll just do multiples of 3. So, because I can always use them, because once I've done what I'm about to do, it all goes into my stash anyway. Right, we're going to be using embossing powders, so I do need to put down a sheet of paper to capture my embossing powders. You can work one at a time on the paper, or you can do all of them the same on the same page with the same colour, anything you wish. As I said, the rules are yours, they're nobody else's. So let's put this one in. So I think I'm going to do this coffee circle one. I'm then going to bring in, it's just an embossing stamp pad, no particular brand, and I think I probably need a new one soon, because this one's looking a bit manky, should we say, if that's a word you understand. Manky means messy or mucky or not great, really. Let's put that up there. I hope there's enough life left in this ink pad, because I should have actually bought myself a new embossing ink pad. And it's one of those things you always go, oh, I need to pick one of those up. And do we remember? Do we heck? Right. I'll probably put those too close together, but this is just a video sample anyway. I'm going to bring in some embossing powders. This is a gold one. I do like this one a lot, actually. I am quite heavy-handed with my embossing powders, but that means I know I can always put it back in afterwards. So tap off the excess. As you can see, I've now got picture frames. So we're going to do a few different ones. Tap that all back into the container. It's not a long-winded process, this, guys. It is exactly what it sounds. It's just doing, I think I might do one of these. I'm trying to wait for the pink one to dry, because I'd like to quite do the pink one. Let's do one more of the circles, because I use the circle quite often. I've been using it in my the autumn journal I'm working on at the moment. Actually, I've got that to hand. I might give you a sneak peek of my autumn journal in a moment or two. So I think I need to do this one in black, because the black is a real sparkly black. It's by Paper Mania, and it's called Black Sparkle. Well, there you go. I told you it was sparkly, didn't I? See all that? That's absolutely fabulous. I do use it. The one thing I like about doing this technique with embossing powders is, as we have celebrations like Christmas and that, this is a perfect way to add a little bit of sparkle to a Christmas or a December daily journal, because of course you can use sparkly, shiny red or green or anything like that, because we don't always want the look of an embossed piece in our journals, because it's not overly vintage, do you know what I mean? Let's just use that one, and this is another little one. I wish I knew where I got that from, because I would really recommend that one. I use that a lot. Right, let's just stamp a few of these on this page. This is another one I use a lot. It's great for tags, this one. It's just about the right size for the tags I normally use. Now I'm going to put 3 on this page. If I was taking my time, I'd try and make sure that the script underneath or the text underneath was in line with the line of the stamp. But to be honest, because this is just a tutorial, I'm telling you to do it, but I'm actually not doing it, because I'm just trying to get through this as quickly as I can so you won't be bored. So, was this bronze? What is this? I cracked this pot. Copper. There you go. I like a bit of copper. So, tap that down. Ooh, I've got fingerprints on that. Wonder whether I can get a soft brush. Now you can use an anti-static pad. I don't actually own one. I just use a paintbrush, as you can see. And usually when I turn my heat gun on it, the first thing it does, it blows off all those spare bits anyway. So let's put that back in there. I'm actually thinking about the whole Christmas thing. I might also do a few more gold ones. Get the lid on there. A few more gold ones because Christmas is not far off, people. Christmas is not far off. So let's just come in with this one. If your paper does curl, don't worry about it. Just roll it back on itself. I mean, at the end of the day, these things are going to be stuck down to a flat surface anyway, so we've no real need to worry about that. Let's press that down. This is definitely on my list of mass makes this. I will very often sit down and do 20 or 30 pages, and then that just builds my stash up entirely. Right, that was the gold, wasn't it? Let's do gold on there. Let's tip it all out, why not? So, give me a little paintbrush. I must have glue on my fingers or something. It's funny because everywhere the dust is sticking, it's leaving a little Ceri Griffiths fingerprint. So I'm assuming I must have glue stick on my fingers and I'm leaving fingerprints on pages. Not a surprise there, I hear you say. Right, let's put that one aside. Let's see if I can do a pink one. This is dry enough. I should be able to do that. Right, let's do a few more of one more of these maybe, and one more of the round ones because I haven't got a round one on a pink background. This is just a great way to use up spare book pages, any spare paint. You can do this with ink. So say you're doing an ink project and you've got lots of, say, distress inks all over the place, all on your work surface, and you've picked up you want to clean up the surface, then what I would say is clean it up with a bit of old book page, and then hopefully I've been shot. I just realised I'm down quite low. And then once you've done that, you've got to let the page dry, obviously, and then you've got some interesting backgrounds there as well. Right, and just tap that off. Right, that's that done. So we've made quite a few pages just in those few minutes. I'll do the others at some other time. You don't actually need to sit there watching me doing this time and time again. I don't want the video to be a million years long. Right, or should have done that one. That would look great with gold. I'll do that when I've turned the camera off. Right. Cover up my embossing pad because if it wasn't dried out before, it will be shortly. And I'm just going to clean off these stamps a little bit with a wet wipe just to take off the build-up. I know you don't always need to clean stamps, but I sometimes feel with ones that have got finer detail, the more glue you leave on them, the more embossing glue you leave on them, the more ink you leave on them, the more it fills in the cracks and crevices of a mould. I have considered that I think there's not a mould, what am I talking about? A stamp. I think there's a stamp cleaning gadget out there. It's like a bristly pad. So I probably invest in one of those at some point. Okay, right. So we've got our little bits in. Now, word of warning from the wise: do not heat emboss onto your mat. It's going to warp it. So I tend to heat emboss over a book, and I tend to keep the heat gun moving. Now, this is going to be noisy. I don't actually know how to segment out this one piece of noise and drop it down. So word of warning, drop your volume down now. It's not going to be that loud, but it'll be loud enough to probably disturb some people. I'm going to heat emboss all of them. And when you see me turn the heat gun off, you can turn the volume back up again. Here we go. Okay guys, I'm back. You know, heat embossing always fascinates me. It's like alchemy, it's magic. I know it's only just heating up plastic particles that melt and then cool and stay firm again, but to me, I love it. It makes me smile. So next thing I do before I do it, actually let's look at a few of them. So as you can see, just those simple bits of embossing, and I'm utilising an old book page. I've got some really lovely pieces. Now this, as I said, works great for Christmas. Also, it's another technique if you're doing like a wedding journal for somebody. This is sometimes a nice way to put in a bit of weddingness, should we say, if there is such a word. Now I'm just going to tear these into shapes that I can use. Actually, I'm going to have to tear that one by fingers. Now, you could go in and fussy there, tear these as circles. I'm just literally tearing them because I don't know what they're going to be used for next. So I'm just going to tear those apart. That's already torn, so let's just take that off there. I could probably have fitted more onto this sheet of paper, but you know what? If it wasn't for me, this piece of paper would have hit the trash can anyway. That's quite a nice shaped one. Right, here's a bigger one. This is the one we just did. Take the sides off. So not only is this good for using book pages, whether they're glue book pages or whether they're just you've gutted a book and you need to use up some pages, or it's also good for using up acrylic paints or wiping up ink off a surface so that you've got background pages done. Let's take these down a bit. And obviously when you come to use them, you can fine tune the size of these a little bit better. I tend to just keep them as a standard size. Let's put that one over there. I think that one could just come off a little bit there. So I'll give it, now we have all of these scraps now. Yes, these are scraps, but they can be added now to clusters. So say I want to do an interesting cluster. I mean, I'm not planning to do a cluster at the moment, but there you go. I've just taken those and actually let's use one of the labels I've already stamped. There you go, stick that together. I've got a cluster. So just know that these don't have to go in the bin. They can go into a little bowl and you can use them later. So let's have a little bit of a look, see what we've got. So we've got some really cute little pieces. Now, what my next steps are, I will show you. Actually, let's leave that one out. Actually, let's leave that one out as well. And I will show you how I utilise them. So let's put those to one side. I then like to come in with vintage photo. Actually, let's get this one because it'll show up better. Now, I use vintage photo no matter what the colour is. It's an element that's going to be stuck into something else. Usually the thing I'm doing is a junk journal, therefore it's got a vintage feel to it, unless it's, well, not all my journals are vintage feel, I suppose. But as you can see, it just brings it to life a bit. If you want, you can come in and just take that across it. It's totally fine. And then just as an example, let's move those to one side, I will then go in and I'll rubber stamp into them. Or I'll put words into them. I mean, these are all just little ones that are sat in the box ready to use. There you go, there's that coffee stain one. Actually, there's another coffee stain one. I just stamped a simple number into that one. It's completely what you wish to do with them. I mean, if you're wondering how did he stamp there and not there, I just take a regular post-it note, stick the post-it note down the side of there, do the stamping, and then it doesn't go outside the frame. As you can see, I use these a lot. Oh, there you go. There's one for you, Gail Augustinelli. Be kind. And you certainly are. So I just then go through and find out what words fit into them. But I love that one, dreams and imagination. So that's just a way that I'm utilising old book pages. So as I promised, I will give you a quick look at the journal I'm doing at the moment. And actually, I've utilised one of those right in the middle. So this is the autumn or fall journal I'm working on at the moment. It's far from finished, but if you look, that was on my front page. So I've used one of those. So I won't do a whole flip through, but as you can see, I'm working on it. I'm enjoying it. I've just got quite a bit more to do. That's just been stuck in, so let's take a little more care with that. So yeah, you'll see this I'll do a flip through video of this. Oh, there you go. If you've seen my recycling of paper into making edges for pages and strips, that's one of those there. So anyway, that's enough of that. You're not supposed to be seeing that. That was a sneaky peek, people. So hope you enjoyed that. This is me, all my social media and my website. If you do need to contact me, you can do it through my website. There is a contact page on there. Other than that, I am on Facebook, as you can see, in at least 2 places. My Etsy store is there. We are working on new Etsy products, so keep an eye open for those. And I need to start doing Etsy videos anyway. So this is me saying goodbye. This is Ceri the Crafter, Ceri the Crafter, signing off until next time. Bye-bye now.